Hey guys, welcome back to my show. It's Michelle and I apologize for the delay. I've been on a COVID vacation. There's still a little frog in my throat. All is well, recovered, and back and fresh for 2022. Today's video is about the anatomy of a bag and what it costs to repair a Speedy. I've seen a lot of questions about, can you do a show about repairs? And I'm so happy to do so, especially with the iconic bag. This is an easy one to break down because I know what it costs, or roughly what it costs, and how this bag is put together, which I think will be very interesting for you guys. It definitely is for me. So my Speedy actually needs repair because you can see right here, the zipper is broken. And I have not made it a priority to fix because honestly, it isn't a bag that I reach for. It's not a bag that I've had to use. This is a very old bag. I inherited it from my mom. It's about circa 1984. And the only thing I can see on the code is that it is made in France. I do remember my dad telling me that her brother brought this back to her from France. She's very proud of this bag. Okay, so let's talk about the anatomy of the bag. So for this particular bag, let's look up close because my zipper is broken, so the zipper needs to be fixed. Now, to actually fix the zipper of this bag, the first thing that your sales associate is going to look for to make sure the canvas is in perfect condition, you see this, no cracks. So on some old bags, especially if they're used very well and very loved, you'll see vertical cracks on the canvas. I have seen people bring in bags with those vertical cracks. Well, once those cracks occur in the canvas, it is no longer repairable. That is because they have to unstitch this seam, and if the canvas is cracked, it's literally just gonna fall apart. It's like getting a hole in your clothes when it's not along the seam. It's going to be very hard to repair. In that case, Vuitton is actually going to reject your repair. Okay, so the cost to repair the zipper is $120 the last time I checked, and they actually have to take apart the bag to repair the zipper. Now, the only thing on the bag that can be repaired without taking apart the whole bag is the zipper pull. See, this part pops off right here. You can also see that my brass has tarnished, so I will do a separate video on how to clean up the green areas of the bag. Oh, excuse me, I really need my nails done. Okay, so other parts of the bag, you've got the handles. I am probably butchering the name of this. They're called the Turon handles. To me, it sounds like Turon, which is a banana dessert from the country my parents are from, but it means rolled leather. And you can see they're like little rolled pieces, and that's very specific to the Speedy. Oh, now one thing I want to show you guys too. See how these little threads are popping out? I've had plenty of customers come back and freak out and want to return the bag, and really this is not a big deal. We just take cuticle scissors and cut them. It doesn't mean that your bag is falling apart. So don't freak out. Okay, so I think this has happened on this bag because it's just getting old. Now, other parts of the bag, these pieces here are what are called the shapes, and each piece is $60 to replace. There's 4 of them. The bag itself, you can see that this one has patina and even the handles. The handles cost $120 each to replace. Okay, so $120 each and then $60 each for this. So if you're gonna replace all the leather on the Speedy, it can get very pricey. You can even replace the hardware. So these are called the D-rings. And with mine, I'm not going to replace them because I have heard that the hardware on the vintage pieces are better than the new ones, which I do believe, but I'm going to see if I can polish those up. Then these little buttons here, they're called the rivets, just like on your jeans. And if you look up close, it has the Louis Vuitton logo on it. Those you don't need to pay to replace. Actually, if you replace the shapes, they're just gonna use the same old rivet. So they're not going to give you a new one, just FYI. But for someone like me, I would prefer just to keep the old ones in place. Other things about this Speedy. Now, when you get the Speedy hot stamp, it has to be this one right here. That's the only one that you're allowed to do. Something about the other pieces, not, I think these two, because of the pocket here, we can't actually get them into the hot stamp machine. So they're only going to offer this one to put a hot stamp, which is an initial, like 1 letter or up to 3 tiny letters if you want to do that there to personalize your bag. I think this is very inexpensive, something like $30 if you need to replace this. It's the only thing that they don't have to take apart the bag for. Now, when I say that, see the way that the bag is stitched? So you have to take the whole bag apart to stitch the zipper. Meaning, say you had a bag that needed the zipper and the piping replaced, but you wanted to save money and say like, oh, I just want to do the zipper today. Well, they're gonna look at that and go, well, we can't actually put it back together if this piece is broken. Often on a bag like this, the piping, you might see some wear and tear on the corners. This one's like, my mom barely used this, so it's in perfect condition. So the zipper in this case is easy to replace. But if you ever are in that situation where like, I just want to replace part of it, it's really best to just replace the whole thing because they could just reject you and say, we can't put it back together. Other things about this bag, so these little tabs here, that's gonna be about $60 each to replace. The bag is one continuous piece of canvas. LV's right side up, LV's upside down. Have you ever like encountered someone who freaked out because they saw in a picture that the LVs were upside down? Well, that does occur on a Speedy because it's one continuous piece of canvas. Now, other things to note, no seam on the bottom. If you see a Speedy with a seam on the bottom, it's a fake. Same with if you see Speedies that have the feet, the little metal feet. I've seen those too. It's a fake. Now, so like I said, they're going to be upside down on one side because it's one continuous piece of canvas. Now let's look at the craftsmanship on the sides. You see how they put this little flower with the circle in the middle, and you're gonna see that symmetry on the other side. So you wanna see the symmetry of the pattern on both sides. What you don't want to look for is that some people who just don't get it look at this and go, oh, well, these logos aren't lined up to this piece and this piece. Do you see what I'm talking about? Because it's not possible to do. So I'm just telling you stories from the floor of some people go, oh, well, that's not right. It needs to be lined up here, which is not possible because if you try to look at the pattern here, like keep things symmetrical, looks like this flower pattern is in the middle, here and here. Okay, other things to look for, the colors of the threads. This is an old bag, so the color of the glazing has worn off dramatically. It's supposed to be a reddish tint, but also you want to make sure it's not too red because I've seen some fakes, cherry red, fake. The piping. Sorry, I forgot to mention the piping. If you are going to replace the piping, it is going to be $120 for each side. So usually if one side is broken, so will the other side, and it's gonna be $240 for both sides of the bag. Okay, so if you have a Speedy where the leather's all beat up, it's gonna be pretty pricey. $120 per handle, not for both, that's per handle. $60 for each sheaf, $60 for each leather piece, $120 for each piece of piping. I've got to do the math. So if you're going to replace all the leather of a Speedy, you might as well just buy a new Speedy. Okay, I want to tell you something exciting though. So my friend Leslie, who also happens to be my editor, she called me one day and she was like, I want you to look at this Speedy. It's at a consignment shop. And she showed me pictures and I was like, oh, it looks good. But the piping was completely worn through on both sides. Oh, I have a picture. Let's see a picture. But I looked at the bag and the leather is absolutely beautiful. The leather patinaed beautifully. The canvas is in great condition. So the only thing that was wrong with it really was the piping, which I found out cost $240 to replace. So it seems like a lot because like you can actually just go buy a contemporary handbag for $240. So she was able to negotiate a great price with the owner of the consignment shop, down to $600 because of the broken piping. I told her the bag seemed a little big for her, but she wanted something bigger for travel, and it turned out to be a Speedy 40. I thought it was a 35 because she's petite, and it was a Speedy 40. So Speedy 40 for $600 in fairly good condition other than the piping was a really good deal. Also something to note, this was a consignment shop in Manhattan Beach, and she had a previous relationship with the owner because she had bought other items there. This was such a good deal, such a good score, because if you look on Fashion File or The Real Real, which I do have the links to those shops in my store, they're online consignment shops, they charge a lot more for used items, almost as much as you would pay for like a brand new retail item, which I know are hard to find, which allows them to charge such high prices. So check out some of these smaller consignment shops, you might get lucky. Okay, so other things to know about this bag. The bandolier version. The bandolier version is the one that has the crossbody strap, and they have an additional piece of leather going down each side here. So some of you have seen that. Oh, let me just show a picture of it. There you go. The reason for that is that it reinforces the crossbody strap. So I believe you're gonna pay about $400 or $500 more for that extra leather and that extra crossbody strap. Worth it if you want to carry the bag crossbody. Personally, I love the Speedy as a handbag because for me, it's quite bulky crossbody. Now also what we do not encourage, we as a former sales associate speaking here, is that people would just clip a crossbody strap to these parts of the bag, which actually pulls it this way. If you're having something as big as a Speedy, you tend to put a lot of things in there. It's going to cause not normal wear and tear on those seams of the bag. So you want to avoid that. One last thing I'm going to tell you about this Speedy is the lining is canvas. It's just canvas material with canvas backing. So it makes the maintenance on this bag extremely easy to clean. Why that is important, I'm just going to give you an example of another bag that I see that's very popular on vintage sites and that I've seen come in for repair, and people even ask me. That's the bucket bag. So the bucket bag has a microfiber lining, which I've mentioned this in another video, has disintegrated. It will disintegrate over time. You've also seen that microfiber lining in the artsy. There's a fancy word for it, but it looks like fake suede. It's just like kind of a nappy material. It eventually will break down over time, or something like the Speedy or the Neverfull that has the canvas lining. This is why in another show I talked about these bags being the best deals, just because you're really going to get your money's worth out of it. Longevity wise, you're not going to have to replace the lining. So another cool point about the Speedy. Now, last thing I wanted to mention is that it comes with a lock. So there's no luggage tag, no clochettes with the Speedy. It comes with a lock. This one has the 2 tabs. If you get the bandolier, it doesn't have the 2 tabs. It just has the reinforcements going down this way. And the lock has a number. This one is number 205. And the key inside, it should have 2 keys. I don't know what happened to the 2 keys because I only have one. It has the corresponding number 205. If I ever lost the key, I could take this lock to my local boutique. They will not be able to pick it for you there, but they will have to order the key that will open it if you ever get locked. I remember a couple came in, they somehow lost the key. They had locked their big key ball and they lost the key. So they brought in the whole thing and whatever was inside. And the store didn't have, they don't have the tools to open it there for you. There's like a universal key or that to pick the lock, but that number, that number may be able to help them find the solution to open the lock. I don't remember what happened really, because there is supposed to be a way to open it. Just try not to lose your locks. Okay, so another thing that's super important is that Vuitton repairs, I just described it to you, it's super expensive. So you might be tempted just to go to your local cobbler to have something done. It could be a lot cheaper. What you want to be careful of, and some of them do beautiful work. There's actually one by me that's been there forever where I walk into there and there's Gucci and Vuitton's hanging on the wall. So people do trust that. But what I do want to tell you about Vuitton, if they see that your bag has been tampered with by someone else, not by a Vuitton artisan, they will reject your repair. They don't want to fix someone else's mistakes. So say if you brought it to like an outside shop and you had them replace these leathers, they will be able to tell and say, well, you've already had it pretty much tainted by someone else, because they don't want to risk taking the bag apart and then not being able to put it back together because somebody else tampered with it. So that's just one thing to think about. I mean, I guess I could ask if they could do like something like the zipper just to give you a price comparison. But I do know that entails for this particular bag, literally taking apart every single seam, including the piping. So you better be sure that they're going to be able to put the bag back together again. And if you're to this point of the video, guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. My name is Michelle, and I will see you soon. Bye.